Good morning and welcome to Tulia page. My name is Rumbidzai Vunzawabaya and I am the founder and CEO of Tulia. I've explained quite a lot of times on this platform what Tulia is about, but I always find it really good to be able to share what we do and what we're here for. So Tulia is a community interest company that supports migrants primarily of African origin, but we support migrants from other continents as well, with expert advice, legal advice in immigration law, and we provide advice and assistance in family law. We are based in Coventry, but we serve people throughout the UK. We also provide advice to organizations that support migrants, training, and consultancy. We are, at the heart of what we do is people. At the heart of what we do is giving migrants a voice, giving them dignity, and supporting them in a way that they understand from people who are like them. One of the things that we strive to do is to be relatable, approachable, and compassionate in how we deal with the issues and the challenges that migrants in the United Kingdom face. Today, I'm doing a pre-recorded video because we have a storm called Storm Eunice in England, and we're not sure whether we'll have network and be able to stream live. So I've done a pre-recorded video today. Today I'm talking mainly about the issues that are affecting Zimbabweans. A large number of our users of people who use our service and clients are from Zimbabwe. We do serve people from all over the world. However, because I'm from Zimbabwe, we do have a large number of Zimbabweans who we serve, and we have there is a charter flight. Rumors have it, I think we've heard from people who are detained and from other organizations that are campaigning to stop deportation to Zimbabwe, that there is a charter flight on the 2nd of March. We have seen that there's been large numbers of people who have been detained and who are currently in detention. Collinbrook, Brook House, detention centers, ready to be removed from the United Kingdom. Now, many of you may remember last year in July that there was another charter flight where 14 people were sent. Initially, there were supposed to be 70, but in the end, due to legal challenges, only 14 people were deported. And that flight was broadcast on all the Zimbabwean state media, etc. It was quite a big thing because that was the very first charter flight to Zimbabwe, and quite a lot of removals in that place because of a bilateral agreement between the Zimbabwean government and the British authorities in relation to travel documents. So we knew that first flight was going to be the first of many, and its success hinged on it was important because that would give the the government would see would have had one trial, and if it worked, then obviously then they would be able to do more removals. So today I just want to talk to people who have family members in detention, people who may be at risk of being detained. So there's people who have signed deportation orders, and people who are overstayers and failed asylum seekers, or people who are here illegally, who have stayed here illegally and have got no immigration status. So those are the groups of people that I want to address in this live today. For those people who are at risk, so deportation. So initially, the first flight had mostly people who are termed foreign criminals. So I've explained before in the past about deportation versus removal. So deportation, a signed deportation order, is an order that's signed by the Secretary of State, mostly for people who've committed an offense and had their leave to remain revoked, or who have who had no leave to remain and have committed a criminal offense, been sentenced to 12 months or more in prison, or are frequent offenders, and there's been a recommendation for their deportation. So a recommendation for the deportation means even if you have indefinite leave to remain, it's been cancelled, revoked, and the Home Office and want you to leave the United Kingdom and not to come back until that deportation order has been revoked. So it's important to realize that the reason why perhaps people who are who have a criminal history and have got a deportation order are easier to remove, because when you're challenging that, the first thing that you have to do is to get that deportation order revoked based on several factors. It can be a change in their circumstances. It can be based on that it's a historic crime, or that there's a risk to them as an individual, that if they return to Zimbabwe or whichever country they're coming from, there is a risk to them, a risk of death, a risk of imprisonment, a risk due to their health. So you have to see that there's something new, something that hasn't been dealt with. There's been a change in circumstances in whatever format. So what I would say to everyone who knows that they have a signed deportation order is to get legal advice. And that legal advice may be that with your case, there hasn't been much change, there hasn't been anything significant that's happened, or you've continued to offend, and the likelihood of you getting that deportation order revoked is next to it's not going to happen. So I would say get advice, know your chances, know whether you have a chance to fight or not, and then make a decision based on that. Sometimes you can go round and round in circles, and people will then say the solicitors are stealing our money, the solicitors have lied to us, the solicitors I know that I generally give advice and say, you know what, these are your chances. Maybe it's a 20-80 chance, maybe it's a 30-70 chance, maybe it's a 50-50 chance. And you'll find that where there's a case where we're convinced that there's merits and there's a strong case, then most legal representatives will fight, will get new evidence, will try. But you can only work with what you have. So if you don't have the evidence, if there is no change, if there's nothing that you can put forward, then it's difficult to work with that. And I generally refuse to take on those cases. There were times when I would try, thinking that I'm doing it out of the kindness of my heart, but it always backfires on you, because people will then blame you when it doesn't work. So it's important to know your own case, to listen to the advice, and then to make an informed decision. Is it worth it? Is it worth it? Is it worth the fight? Sometimes you'll say, no, we want to put a fight up until the end. And we'll see what happens. If it succeeds, it succeeds. If it doesn't, it doesn't. We're going to take a risk. So sometimes people will say that we just want to fight until the end. But you have to do that knowing that why you're doing that, and know that it's against advice, or sometimes you may even find that you don't even get a representative. And in those, because representatives would just say, no, we can't take this on. Because it puts their reputation on the line. They have a duty to the court. They have a duty to the Home Office to be candid and to tell the truth. And, you're not going to put a case that is weak and has got no chance of success forward. So I would say it's important to get legal advice, and then to accept that legal advice and make decisions based on what you've been advised. So before you're detained, get legal advice. Before you're detained, think about your situation in perhaps a clear, rational way, because sometimes we can bury our head in the sand and think that things are going to change, or we'll just stay and we go around in circles. Or sometimes we genuinely have a fear of, okay, what will happen to me when I go? And it's paralyzing fear that you just wait because you cannot make that decision. or the prospect of going to Zimbabwe is, where am I going to start? What is there for me? You know, I would rather stay here than go there, because my chances of survival are minimal. And I know that life in Zimbabwe is very difficult. I know that if you've been away for 20 years or so, going back and starting from scratch with no family support is extremely difficult for some people. But those are tough decisions to make, and it's a tough position to be in. And sadly, you know, we don't have all the answers. We don't have all the answers. You know, when someone is deciding to return voluntarily, it's a very difficult decision to make, but there is support out there, and you can do that. And that's an option that is there. I remember saying to someone, there's always the option of voluntary return. And I heard, oh, why would she say that? You know, why would you say that? Because it is an option. And it's important to think of your own situation, to think about it rationally. If you've got family support, think and talk about the different prospects. You know, I know of some people who've had really good success when they've returned, been able to go back into education, qualify, get their degrees, university degrees, and move on with life, accept the situation and move on. Others have been able to relocate to other countries. Others have been able to retrain and set up businesses and do all sorts of things. There's been quite a lot of success stories of Zim returnees, of people who have gone back. But there've also been disasters of people who've gone back and things haven't worked out. So each situation is different. Each situation is individual to a person. But if you are at risk, get legal advice and then make decisions based on that legal advice before you're detained. If you are detained, in detention, if you have funds, you can get a solicitor who pays privately, or you can get legal aid. You can try and access legal aid, a solicitor who does legal aid, so that you can get free advice. There's charities that specialize in detained, in people who are in detention. There is Bail for Immigration Detainees BID, which has a lot of resources and information to help you if you're representing yourself, if you're unable to get representation. And then there's quite a lot of law firms that do, not quite a lot actually, there's not that many, but they are there, who represent you. I know last time the charter flight, Duncan Lewis took on lots of cases, and there was, you know, you need to find a representative who can help you. If you have family who can support you, then you can get private paying. If you can't, then you can try and get legal aid. If not, then you can self-represent with the help from charities. So those are options that are available to people who are in detention. And in detention, it's really difficult, to be fair. It's a very challenging time, but there is peer support. There's charities that help. Try and access. I know they're inundated with a demand for services, but you know, and there is information. You do have access to the internet in detention, so you're able to access those websites, like Bail for Immigration Detainees. There's a lot of other organizations as well, which I'll put in the chat, which specialize in people who in detained cases where you need urgent assistance and you don't have funds to pay. Our organization doesn't have funding for detained casework, and so we do charge for that. So we only take people who have family members who can support them, who can help them. We do not have any grants or any funding to take on complex detained casework for free, because it is quite, you know, it's a lot. So there's nothing for free. The organizations and charities which give that advice have got funding. They've got donors who pay, and they've got grants which pay for that. Our grants are not for that. So we are unable to take on such cases at this time for free. At the moment, we only take paid clients in that respect. one of the things that we do is give advice, signpost people to other organizations if we're unable to help, and give that initial advice for free. But we don't do full representation for free. So you would need to find either a charity that can do that, or an organization that has legal aid to do that. And we do send out information and give and signpost people to organizations that can help them. So other questions that we've had is where people are overstayers and they don't have a criminal record. So we always knew, I think right at the start, that the Home Office started off the first charter flight with people with some with really heinous crimes, which made it very difficult even for people to campaign, because there was this conflict of, when you read about the crimes that have committed, to do a petition, it was difficult. But as legal representatives, we knew, and campaign groups knew, that once that's happened, next will be people who are long-term overstayers or people who've breached their visas because they've been able to get that charter flight going, the travel documents being issued by the government. And so it's easy now to be able to remove even people who've overstayed. So again, the advice is the same for people who've overstayed, that get legal advice. If you're near your 20 years, then definitely look to put in the application for 20 years. If you've got further submissions or any change in your circumstances, you've had children who are British, you've in a new relationship, definitely put that information in and make fresh claims or fresh representations, further submissions. So a fresh claim or further submissions, or based on your private life, if it's 20 years, or a change in your circumstances. If you've got children who've reached 7 years, or children who are British. So I will probably do another live, particularly for overstayers with no criminal convictions, on the different ways that you can regularize your status. But everyone who is in a situation where you do not have lawful residence in the UK, it's so important now not to relax. And I think last year it was the same message: do not relax. Do not stay without having an application. Do not just bury your head in the sand, because there can come a time when you are detained and you have no access to advice or any way to get out of it. When you're not in detention, it's a better time then to be able to get the help. It seems really ironic for many people who are here that there's so many new arrivals coming in, and some people who've lived here for 20 years or more, or people with no criminal records who've been here and been unable to go back due to various reasons, failed asylum seekers, people who've had poor advice, people who've really struggled to stay in this country are being removed when they could contribute to the workforce. And I know there's several campaigns going on which are saying, there's a whole workforce here. There's a serious shortage of carers. There's a shortage in many sectors, and there are many people who already know the system, speak English, and are able to plug in and fill those gaps. And so there are some campaigns going on around that, and we need to, join those people who are campaigning, and definitely campaign for that, because it makes sense, rather than spending thousands and thousands of pounds on removing those people. But there is a logic to it, that the government doesn't want to be seen as a soft touch. They don't want to be seen as that government that if you go to Britain, you overstay, that they will in the end just do an amnesty and allow you to stay. So they don't want to have that perception that they're a soft touch. They want to be firm on immigration control, so that people know that if you overstay and breach your conditions, there are consequences. So it's that balance that's there. It's not so simple that they'll just say everybody who's here work, because what that will do is open the floodgates to more people saying, we'll just go buy our time, in the end we'll be okay. So that's the balance that's there for the government. I hope that this short 20-minute video has been helpful. I know 20 minutes is not short, but I wanted to just get out there, give just the warnings and some tips, and in the chat section I will put some links for referrals. As I said, we are not taking on free cases. We do not have the funding for that at the moment. So we're only taking on cases that we are charging privately for. Please share this video with anyone who you think may need the advice. I've posted at the bottom of the screen our website, which is www.tulia.org.uk. Please visit our website if you need any assistance in regards to some of the issues that I've discussed and spoken about. If you know someone who is at risk of being detained and removed, or someone who's at risk of being deported, please pass on this video to them, give them our contact details. I will also put here a 15-minute free consultation that we offer. You can book on there. It's on a Tuesday, where we offer a free advice clinic for people who are in that position, who may need just advice or need signposting or need to quickly talk to someone about their situation and cannot afford legal advice. We do have some slots on Tuesdays, which you can book on the link above at candidly.com Tulia group, and we can give you some advice there, signpost you, and just give you information that can help you. So visit our website on www.tulia.org.uk, or you can also book a free 15-minute consultation. My name is Rumbi from Zawabaya. Thank you so much for listening. Please like, please share this video, and send out information to people who may be affected. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful weekend.